everybody, welcome to January 16th, 2019 edition of the Ephrom Josine Show. I am your host, Ephrom Josine. Okay. So first off, the State of the Union is coming up very soon, or at least was going to be coming up very soon. Or maybe is, I don't know. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi asked President Donald Trump to not give the State of the Union address until the government reopens. I have mixed feelings on this. They're both blah. I think Nancy Pelosi's request was not unreasonable, but at the same time not particularly feisty would be the way I put it. It doesn't really have any teeth to it. Okay, well, he'll give the State of the Union address anyway. I mean, he doesn't say he has to give it at that location. That just became a tradition later on. Heck, it used to be the case that typically it was written, and then the Speaker of the House and the Senate Majority Leader would give it to the Congress. So, what is this going to do? I believe it was written even as recently as under the Carter administration. So what if he does that? Heck, I normally don't like Matt Walsh, but he actually brought up an interesting idea. What if he just gives it on, like, Twitter or somewhere? It's a short 15 or 20-minute video. Then what happens? Now it's time for the controversy of the day. Karen Pence, wife of Vice President Mike Pence, recently took up a job at a Christian school. Not just any Christian school, but one that was notorious for, well, discriminating against LGBT students. Now, if this was a private individual, I wouldn't particularly care. However, the fact that it's the person who is one step away from being First Lady, she's the Second Lady of the United States, wife of the Vice President, quite frankly, concerns me a little. More in the sense of, why would anyone pick her to be, why would anyone pick Mike to be Vice President at this point? But, you know what? Let's see someone completely missing the point so I can really explain how I feel about this. Ben Shapiro, you got anything? He did, for the record, but Twitter isn't loading right now for some reason. So, we'll just do Matt Walsh. I know this was kind of covered up because he had to do that I'm not sorry thing for when Media Matters found a clip of him on Fox and Friends saying that the Me Too movement hasn't changed my mind, despite the fact he originally called it a good thing when it was Harvey Weinstein and all those people he didn't like, but then it became Republicans, and it got personal. So we'll just read a few excerpts from Matt Walsh's column. We haven't actually done Walsh in a while. The left is once again shocked to learn that the Pences are Christian. Oh no, we know. In fact, if we didn't, it'd be very weird. We'd be anti-Christian bigots against them like Shapiro said we were. It seems they learn this fact anew every few months or so, and are so freshly outraged every time. Not particularly outraged, more negative indifference. It dawns on them. The empathy happened again this week when Mike Pence's wife, Karen, got a job. Oh, that's her name, by the way. Got a job at a Christian private school. This has elicited many outraged headlines across the mainstream media. Care to link us to a few? No? Okay then. And many shocked and appalled tweets and so on. Again, you have any? At least Crowder shows them. Of course, the stated reason for the outrage is not that Karen Pence, a Christian, is working for an Emmanuel Christian school, but the school bans openly gay teachers and does not admit openly gay students. First off, how old are these kids, out of curiosity? Because I don't think I know many elementary schoolers that are openly gay. Come to think of it, I don't really know many elementary schoolers. Is that a thing now? I skipped a little bit here. It's basically just him point dodging and saying, well, they're against other forms of sexual immorality, which isn't actually a point. But there is no difference between attacking Karen Pence for working at a Christian school and attacking Karen Pence for working at a Christian school that prohibits behavior contrary to Christian teachings. Didn't you go after Ken Ham like a few months ago for having a literalist interpretation of the Bible? Specifically in the field of young earth creationism, which I still do think is ridiculous. I was with you on that. For different reasons, but I was with you on that. However, why is it the stuff that we know is scientifically ridiculous isn't meant to be taken 100% literally, but the stuff that's socially, just kind of with the scientific stuff, and for that matter, the stuff that we still discuss, I still am waiting for Matt Walsh's episode on why eating shellfish is immoral, is what I'm saying. All of that's going to stay the same until the end of time. Is there anything else going on? I wonder what Blexit's been up to recently. I mean, Candace Owens, what's going on? Oh, yeah! They're planning a giant rally to replace the Women's March after that was canceled. This is from Candace Owens' Twitter. Just 3 more days! 3 more days until the Black and Latino American communities. I thought it was just the black communities, and that's why it was Blexit. But okay. Lock arms in Los Angeles and declare our freedom at the first ever Blexit rally event. What freedom did you not have exactly? The freedom to not vote Democrat? You've had that for 150 years. Or, no, okay, that is a little ignorant. It's been close to just plain 50 years, my bad. But still, a very long time. You see, Candace makes the exact same statement. Remember, Hillary Clinton made a very similar statement in '98 and was mocked for decades for it. The vast right-wing conspiracy remark. Candace Owens bases her entire career on the opposite of that. There's this giant left-wing conspiracy brainwashing black people, probably with magic rays or hypnosis, in order to vote Democrat. And it's not individuals looking at their circumstance and determining which politician is best for them, as what has been happening for centuries. And I don't always agree with the option, to be clear. I don't always agree with the person they pick. But you know what? If they want to pick that, that's fine. We don't have to be Democrats. We don't have to be anything. We're free. Thank God you actually spelled it right. You're right. You don't have to be Democrats. However, I'd like to point out, if you're going to sit there and claim, we're not Republicans, why does your website only go after Democrats? Why is there no mention of Theodore Roosevelt being a eugenicist? Or William Oliver Holmes writing the majority opinion in Buck v. Bell? Or the fact I think it was a Democrat who dissented in that same case. A dissenter. I've covered Blexit a few times, including their website. However, there are a few things that I've learned since then. It's worse than I thought. For instance, this quote, President LBJ's true motivation is I'll have those black people voting Democrat for the next 200 years. There's actually no evidence he said that. Despite the fact he had a lot of recordings in the White House, not a single one is of him saying that. It was actually reported by a very sketchy journalist who was anti-Johnson. And even then, I'd like to say, if you signed the Voting Rights Act, I don't think anyone really cares whether or not you used a racial slur. Then there was this one. Margaret Sanger calls for black extermination. And the quote is, "Colored people are like human weeds and need to be exterminated." She also worked with the co-founder of the NAACP and is very known by her staff to not have tolerated any discrimination against him. But I'm sure he was just, some brainwashed Democrat. Because that's the rule here. Republicans think that it's Democrats who are racist and the black people are stupid for voting for them. It makes sense. Lastly, there was a point I forgot to address involving George Wallace. The beliefs of Governor Wallace. George Wallace, Democrat, once stated segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. First off, he took back those views in the 80s. That's actually what happened. But, okay, we'll say he's lying or only did it for political purposes. The Democratic Party never made him mainstream. Wallace ran for president 3 times as a Democrat. In 1964, 1972, and 1976. He did not get to nominate any of those 3 times. We rejected him every single time. Because we didn't like him. Because we weren't typically racist. In fact, he ran against Johnson in 64 because Johnson was not racist. But anyway, that's it. I'm Ephrom, and good night.